when you're learning or remembering, which is probably those two activities are amongst the most central that we do as human beings that really differentiate us as living creatures. We're really quite good at learning and quite good at remembering.
Right.
But how do we do this? It turns out we used to think that new neurons just didn't crop up. That you were born with everything you ever had, neuron-wise, and then as you got older, your neurons would gradually die, and then that was, you'd sort of lose your brain power as you got older.
Yeah.
But that actually isn't true at all. In fact, we now know that new neurons are being born every day in the hippocampus, which is a particularly important area for learning and memory.
Okay.
And so, as it turns out, there are two ways that you can help those new neurons. They're growing, but it's kind of like seedlets in a garden. If you don't water them, they just wither away and die.
Yeah.
So how do you water them? There's two ways. One is through, surprisingly enough, exercise.
Right.
That will help those new neurons to survive, thrive, and interact with other neurons to help you in learning. But the other way is through learning new things and exposure to new environments, which is really a form of learning new things. So I think what you do every day is you exercise, and that really helps with the new neurons.
Yeah.
But the other thing to do is to constantly be seeking new types of experiences. So we're limited because we have jobs, and sometimes those jobs involve repeating very similar kinds of things on a day-to-day basis. So what I do, and what the kind of thing that I find many really sort of happily creative people, or even unhappily creative people, because there are those types, is to look for experiences and for learning new things that are radically different from what you're actually, what your area of expertise is.
Okay.
And somehow this seems to really freshen up your brain. So, like, for me, let's say that I'm caught for a number of months where it's day by day, I'm doing the same sort of thing. Well, before I go, and maybe it's really stressful, and I'm really working on an intense project, like a book that's got to be done by a certain time, and I'm really focusing on getting that done. Well, before I go to sleep at night, I'll look at something radically different. And my only rule is it cannot have anything whatsoever to do with the main thrust of what I'm working on.
Right.
And the funny thing is that often it turns out that whatever I look at that's radically different turns out to be somehow related in a very interesting and enhancing way with whatever I'm working on. But that like keeps your thinking flexible and nimble and helps keep you fresh. Of course, I try to take opportunities to travel to different places as I can, and that can mean everything from exploring a different corner of the building to taking a different route to work to to going to a different country where the same things somehow become novel. I mean, the faucets don't work the same way.
Yep.
The cars may go on the different side of the road. I listen to accents, and in my mind, I try to see if I can mimic the different accents. I just have lots of fun, while it's so. I think these kinds of things can help turn sort of the boredom that can arise because of What was it? I think the Queen Mother had said once that work is the rent we pay on life. Um, I thought that was very perceptive. We're those of us who do have to work. We sometimes resent it, but it actually gives us a understanding of life in general that I think is very valuable. And so, but it has its drawbacks, of course. And if we can get around those by playing little mental tricks that help keep us fresh and new and creative and enjoying things, that's a wonderful thing to do.